And welcome back. So as you can imagine, a lot of focus today on the latest SAA strike, and as promised, we will be crisscrossing the country to see what the effect of today's industrial action is.
Indeed, we should be getting some crossings from King Shaka International Airport, that's in KZN, a little bit later on in the show. Cape Town, we've also got our reporter Manelisi Dubase standing by, but right now, let's go over to I think it is first to Manelisi, and then we'll of course go to Mbali, who's here in the O.R.Tambo International. But Manelisi, let's talk about Cape Town at the moment. How are we looking this morning? I can imagine there are a lot of very, very unhappy SAA passengers there. Good morning to you.
Well, Leanne, it's a big crisis for South African Airways. I mean, this place around this time on a Friday is teeming. It's full of people going in all different kinds of places. It is empty. We've been here at from 5:30 until now. What is even worse is that it looks like there's a lot of confusion, because if Hubert can just just cross around there is SAA link there. That flight is supposed to be flying. Those are the flights that are going to these small towns like George, like Mbali. Those flights are supposed to be operating. So is Mango. But people seem to be confused. The people who have been in that counter of SAA link, I think if there were 20, it would be just too much. I mean, since 5:30, which means when the SAA said that they will be losing around 52 million rands, they didn't take account of the fact that there would be a confusion that even those flights like Mango, SAA link, that will be flying to these towns will also be affected, because people are confused. But other people are also very frustrated here. We have been speaking to couples who were supposed to be traveling to Canada, a lady who was supposed to be traveling to Lagos, and some couples who are sitting right there who were supposed to be going to Zambia. All of them, they said they didn't know there was going to be a strike. And others are going to funerals in the Eastern Cape. They didn't know that there would be the strike, a strike today, and they had to cancel their trips. And it's not only the South African Airways that seem to be suffering. If you can look at the restaurant just above this airport, at Mug and Bean, restaurants like Wimpy, it's all empty there. It's always teeming this kind of the morning. People coming early, having their breakfast before they are bothering. So this is a very, very, very big crisis, like the Cape Town International Airport. And there at the port, I mean, all the flights, is either they are cancelled, others they are written closed. I mean, it's just a crisis. It's a big, big crisis. And it looks like it's going to be the same thing right up throughout the day. And I'm sure that at O.R.Tambo is also the same. I'm sure Mbali is also having the same story there at O.R.Tambo International Airport. Mbali?
Yes, indeed, Manelisi. The queue behind me of stranded passengers seems to be building up. While we cannot speak to some of the passengers while they're standing in the queue, because the airport company is actually trying to make sure that the operations are running smoothly and deal with the problems that are arising as a result of the strike. It is interesting to hear that, Manelisi, on that side, that SAA partners are also affected. We understand that from a media statement from SAA, we were informed that their partners would not be affected by the strike. Essentially, going back to the interview that I had earlier with one of the stranded passengers, they were saying that SAA has informed them that they will be putting them on other flights, say with Mango, on their partner airplanes. However, you have to also bear in mind that those flights could essentially be full, and those passengers could essentially be left stranded at the end of the day if everyone pitches for that particular flight that is intended to go to that various destinations. So we are expecting more and more people to come up and talk to us and tell us about their experiences. I can imagine the frustrations that passengers are facing at this particular moment. We will be speaking to SAA spokesperson on basically contingency, on contingency plans going forward and how they plan to address this problem that is arising. He is standing by and he will be joining me shortly. But we understand that yesterday the unions and SAA were not able to meet each other following a meeting to negotiate, to basically accept or to basically negotiate the latest wage offer that has been put on the table by SAA. We understand that SAA had put in place a wage offer of 5.9%, which was essentially rejected by the unions. The unions are not budging on their demand of 8%, and they are saying that SAA is in a position to actually pay them this pay hike, because if it were to cancel some of its outsourcing contracts, they would be able to meet some of their demands, and they are against the whole concept of SAA cutting down its workforce in the interest of saving itself money. And they're saying that the other places where SAA could be saving money, and one of those areas is through procurement. But standing right next to me is SAA spokesperson Tladi. Thank you so much for speaking to us. You understand that there are passengers who are building up behind us who are saying that they have been stranded and they're waiting for a way forward from SAA. Some of them are saying that they are worried that if they don't manage to get on any flight today, they might be stranded tonight. Please talk to us about your contingency plans.
I think we took reasonable measures by putting out a notice to the market and to our passengers. Those passengers who will have booked through specific channels, we communicated to them that they would have to go back to those who issued the tickets so that they get an update in terms of what needs to happen as part of going forward. It's important to note that when we issued a notice, we were providing the market and our passengers with a reasonable notice for them to consider travel options. What this means is that for us as an airline, we have put together a framework on the basis of which we are able to do a facilitation. The facilitation entails assisting passengers who may be transiting through Johannesburg to their final destinations. That means that for those passengers who ordinarily would be flying or traveling on SAA, we will engage with partner airlines in order to get them to be accommodated on those flights for them to travel to their final destinations. But the framework speaks to a number of other areas. These include as well situations where people who are supposed to travel today and are unable to travel, and it is pointless for them to travel today, and then they decide that they will no longer be traveling. They should reach out to the agencies that issued them with their tickets for them to get refunds. However, there's another category of people who may be traveling today or tomorrow and can afford to travel on a future date. The framework that we have put in place will enable them to rebook to travel on a future date without attracting any penalty. Something which under normal circumstances, if a passenger were to rebook, there's a penalty that attaches to such an exercise. So these are some of the measures that we have put in place in order to mitigate the impact of the inconvenience as a result of flight cancellations for today and for tomorrow. Later in the day, we are going to review the situation as we continue to engage with labor, and we'll make an announcement as to whether or not we will operate on Sunday and for the coming week.
And will some of those passengers be put up in hotel rooms?
Under the circumstances where we have passengers who are stranded and they are at the airport, who do not necessarily reside here, we will comply with the industry standards where the provision is that we need to make an arrangement for accommodation for them for one night. We will look into that. We have teams on the ground here that will provide information that will assist passengers with direction in terms of what is it that they need to do. But those passengers who will in fact be stranded, who may not be accommodated even on partner airlines and have nowhere to go, they will be accommodated. We will make arrangements for them to get a one night's accommodation with the hotels.
So I was just speaking to my colleague Manelisi Dubase, who's in Cape Town, and he's saying that your partner airlines have also been affected to a certain extent. We understand that this was not supposed to be the case.
I do not know which partners are. SAA has a range of partners. We have a sister airlines, which is SA Express. We have a subsidiary airline, which is Mango. They are not affected. We also have a franchise airline that we work with, which is SAA Link. We are not aware that they are impacted. Those are some of the partners domestically that we are relying on. However, we have interline agreements and code-share agreements and code-share partners. These are the partners that will make use of taking into account that we are a Star Alliance carrier. So we'll make use of these arrangements that we have in place in order to facilitate and accommodate as many passengers as possible. It may not be an arrangement that is perfect to accommodate everybody, but every effort is made into ensuring that we alleviate and we minimize the impact of the inconvenience, for which we sincerely apologize.
He's basically saying that in Cape Town, some passengers who are meant to be on Mango as well as SA Link are not able to do so.
Yes, we do appreciate that. Hence, I make a comment and admission that the arrangement that is in place is not a perfect one. We will continue to monitor the situation and make necessary changes and improvements to the extent it is possible for us to do so. Where we are able to secure accommodation elsewhere in terms of other airlines, we will do so. We will also engage with them. Those carriers that are able to deploy aircraft that has a bigger capacity to accommodate as many passengers as possible based on the demand, will continue to engage with them. You'll recall that under normal circumstances, the operations of any airline is also dependent and based on the demand aspect. In other words, you will not necessarily deploy a big aircraft when the demand is small. So these are the dynamics ordinarily in terms of our operations. We'll keep an eye on the situation. If it means in the absence of a bigger aircraft, they have the ability to deploy more aircraft in terms of increasing the frequencies. Those are the options that we look into in order to alleviate or to mitigate the impact insofar as the cancellation of SAA flights is concerned for Friday and Saturday.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. There you have it. That is SAA spokesperson Tladi talking to us about the contingency plans they have put in place. They will be on the ground monitoring the situation and just reviewing the situation and putting in different contingency plans when necessary. For now, it's back to you in studio.